Okay. If y'all ready, we'll go ahead and get started.
Pray. Father, we always stop, pause, and thanks to give you thanks and to express our gratitude to all the blessings that had come our way. We ask also right now to give us your wisdom and your guidance. Help us as commissioners to be the servants of our citizens that we need to be, to do that which is best for our county and the people that live here and visit here. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Does anybody have any changes to the agenda? None, I would make a motion that the agenda be approved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Does anybody have any changes to the minutes from March 13th executive session, March 13th work session, March 14th regular meeting, or the March 18th special call? If there are no corrections, I will make a motion that the minutes be approved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Sandy, you will give us our financial statement?
This is the financial report for March 31st. Each department should be at 25% of their budget used. Departments over budget at March 31st are the animal shelter at 27%, detention center at 26%, and Superior Court at 28%. Overall, we are at 16% of the total revenue budget received and 21% of the total expenditure budget used. Total revenue received today, $3,691,377. Total expenditures today, $4,730,634.
Are there any questions on the financial statement? Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you.
We're at citizens wishing to speak. Anybody that would like to speak on any topic, please feel free to come to the podium, state your name, and say whatever it is you'd like to say. If there is no one wishing to speak, we will move to unfinished business. This is discussion of possible action on equipment for the jury rooms. I should say that I have confirmed the meeting that I will have standing right for next Monday. And hopefully we'll have a good conversation then and we'll be able to kind of move this along. So, y'all have anything else that y'all want to say?
No, other than you commented that you had given Lloyd extra responsibility for that project, so thank you for that.
That's not what I said.
Yeah.
Okay. Appointment of a member to the Kids Cottage. I am waiting for a response from the board chairman there, because there's some question about whether or not we're going to do that this month or whether next month when an actual term expires. So I would say for now that we table that. And I'll make that a form of a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The discussion of meeting dates to discuss the 2020 budget. I think we had a pretty good discussion yesterday. I don't see that there's anything that we need to take official action on with that. If y'all have any other comments that you'd like to make, we can do that. Otherwise,
I have none.
I'll say let's just move on. Make a motion that item number 3. Well, under item number 3, we have firm numbers. I mentioned to you that we're getting firm numbers for the turnout gear and repair to the ladder truck for the fire station. And we do have some information on that today, if y'all would like to give us those figures.
Good evening, Commissioners. So the discussion was regarding updating and upgrading our turnout gear that we have, and about 2 months ago I came before you to show you some of the equipment that we did have as a demonstration to see the material condition of some of the equipment. So with that, the recommendation was made to we had a pumper tanker that was in the capital budget for this coming year. That will not have an impact on our ISO rating in not purchasing that pumper tanker. So the discussion was to fund turnout gear and air packs with the money that would have been used to purchase that pumper tanker. That in mind, we've done some homework. We were able to narrow it down to 3 different vendors, and the price for 30 sets of turnout gear, which is the bunker, basically we set it from head to toe. So it's a helmet, pants with suspenders, gloves, hood, coat, traditional helmet, and boots. And for 30 sets of that, through a company called NAFCO, they provide Lion, the brand is Lion Gear. The cheapest vendor that we were able to find on that was $61,705.50. And then going with, we priced with about 5 different vendors. The most expensive, getting the same equipment, prices out at $79,185. So that would be the most expensive. So we're obviously going with the best rate we can find with the same material conditioning gear.
What is a normal life for that gear?
So NFPA requires it to be in service for 10 years.
10 years.
Yes, sir.
That's the max.
That's the max life expectancy.
Thank you.
Barring any issues in a fire or in a situation where you may rip gear in any type of emergency situation, but normal lifespan is 10 years.
And keep this 61,705 is for all 30 sets?
That would be for all 30 sets, yes, sir.
Okay, less than that.
You want to talk about the SCBs?
Sure. Good evening. Thank you for letting us be here today. The air packs, we're looking to make a transition with our air packs from a 2216 PSI to a 4500, which doubles our air capacity on scene, allows longer work times on scene for our guys in there. They don't have to go in and out as much. And also allows us some compatibility with the city of LJ, who actually is running 4,500 PSI bottles. So what we're looking at is 28 air packs, a replacement for that. We have 2 vendors. One is Scott, the other is MSA. So currently, we're not using either one. Well, we have Scott currently on the trucks and ISI.
12 sets of Scott here on the trucks.
So with the 28 air packs, with the quote, it came with 58 masks, 56 cylinders. So we'd actually have one spare for every pack. 28 quick fill hoses, which is a traverse line or a transverse line that we can actually transfer air from one air pack to another one. So if we had a firefighter that was actually down but not in a situation that was dire, we could actually get in there, hook a hose to them, and transfer air to that firefighter until we could get whatever was off of them or get them to a safe situation. So that's definitely a nice thing to have on there, and a nice safety factor. These come with 10 rechargeable batteries that we're going to have extra, 4 battery chargers. The current air packs now we have to put in normal like D batteries or C batteries, and we're having to replace those on a regular basis. So with this system, it's one big battery, it hooks into the air pack, it has an excellent life as far as being on the truck and charging everything up and making sure your pass device is good. And these also come in with a voice amplifier that's built in. So whenever you hook into your mask, it has a voice amplifier, it transfers to this on the exterior of the air pack. And so when we talk on the radio inside, it actually amplifies so we can actually hear them on the radio. And a lot of the things you'll notice or you'll hear about from NEOSH line of duty death reports is a lot of it is communication that's always a big factor. They didn't hear them say they needed help or a mayday in a fire because nobody heard it. It was muffled or got overlooked. This definitely helps to enhance the volume and keep us from overlooking something like that. The price on that, we can put the final on that. Okay, we came up with a final price on the 28 air packs of $215,740.
Now,
Same question about what the typical life or maximum.
Again, it varies according to what it's been put through. I mean, if it's been on a low run truck and it hasn't seen a lot of fire activity, the life of the air pack is going to be a little bit longer. NFPA comes out with changes and things that they want on these air packs. So it's really hard to say. I mean, I think you can get 10 years out of an air pack. If it's taken care of, it has maintenance, the guys are taking care of it. I think easily get 10 years out of it. And I think what we'll try to do in the future is try to rotate these. We're not having to make the big purchases all the time. So a couple of years down the road, maybe we budget for 10 more. Then we take the 10 from this pile here. We'll place them onto some of the volunteer stations, and then we'll just keep rotating the equipment. But we're going to try to do this with bunker gear as well. We don't want to get to a point where we're having to make all these huge purchases of lots a year. We want to kind of stagger it out, maybe 3-year increments, to where we're buying 10, and 3 years later we buy 10, and 3 years later we buy 10, instead of having to come up and ask for a big chunk of money at one time.
I'd like to add this as well, and this is a unique caveat as we sit here today. There is a conference that's going on right now in Indianapolis called FDIC, and that's where all of your fire departments get together. They go up there for an equipment conference. There's all of your fire apparatus are up there, and everyone can go around and look around. Well, it just so happens that these two vendors, the MSA vendor and the Scott vendor, are up there, and they're both very well aware that we're competing to try to get the best price. And even as of today, the quotes have gone down upwards of $9,000. So it's a competitive bid process right now. They're trying to get our business, as well as the fact that MSA is also on state bid, Georgia state bid. So just leave you with that. And if you have any questions, we're certainly open to anything.
Well, you answered my next question. I was going to ask whether we had to do open bids or whether there was a state contract or a means of not having to go out for open bid process like we do on other things. So I think you're
I
saying,
think it's my understanding that if they're on that Georgia bid, that state process, that they're already a bidder designated for the state of Georgia, that we can't go with them without having to go.
yes, that's my understanding.
Is
I
that
agree.
correct?
That's good news.
And with that as well, shall we bring up the ladder truck as well within this conversation?
Yeah.
Okay. So our current ladder truck that we have at Station 1, it's a 1986 model Sutphen ladder truck. The turntable on the ladder truck, every year they have to be inspected to remain in service. And this past year, in 2018, the truck failed inspection. And then failed inspection because of the turntable. The gears and bearings in the turntable that rotates the ladder, they have failed. And again, this is a 1986 truck, so that just failed over time. This is a sole source bid because of the age of the truck and the company that built it, Sutphen. So there are no other companies that we can go out to and get additional bids from. But that being said, that bid came in from them at $39,150 for the repair of the ladder truck. And that does impact our ISO rating, having that ladder truck out of service.
And roughly what would be the cost of the new ladder truck?
At least $500,000.
Yeah.
At least $500,000. At a minimum.
So 39 doesn't sound quite okay.
Doesn't sound too bad.
Anything else?
No, sir, I think that's it for our part.
Okay.
Any questions from any members of the council?
You?
Done, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Oh, let me ask you something.
Yes.
How critical is all this in terms of how much time do we have to work with, and when do you need to be ordering this kind of stuff?
We're hopeful to try to get some of this stuff moving as soon as possible.
Okay.
As far as the time frame goes, I'm not sure how accurate these bids will remain the longer the time goes by.
Yeah. But essentially, for the safety of the firemen, this is something that we need like right now.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did you have something for me? No. I don't know if, Carly and I were just discussing it, I don't know that we've ever officially introduced our new fire chief.
I don't believe that.
Daniel Kaufman comes to us and just extremely well qualified. We're very lucky to have him. Daniel?
Thank you very much. The Commission, Human Resources, and Public Safety Director for the opportunity to come up here and serve you guys. It's an honor. I've vacationed here, been around since 2005. Would love, being up here. And my wife is dying. She's on her way actually now. I mean, she is really wanting to get up here really bad, and she's jealous that I'm up here and she's not. But so yeah, just a lot of things put me, in a situation to be here. Honestly, I didn't think I would be here, and I think it was meant to be. I think God created a way for me to be here, and things happened that should not have happened, and so I'm here. I get to serve with men and women every day, that are honorable and put God in a good place in their life, and I appreciate that. And I thank for the opportunity to serve, and I hope that I get to serve for a while. And we're going places, we're going to make a difference. And I've already heard that, people are looking to come here to work based on the leadership that you guys have put in place for us. I thank you for your trust and your time, and let's watch for good things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Appreciate it.
much.
Obviously, we're not going to be able to fund the office with just a truck, a tanker truck. I do think that we can find places where we can go this way. I believe when we're talking about the men and women running buildings, that we need to vote upon this and inform us, at least I would like, y'all, okay, go ahead with these 3 items.
Charlie, I'll agree. We should, time is of the essence, and I would hope you and Sandy can work out financial
We'll work it out.
pieces. I know you will. Just keep us informed, that's all I ask.
We just pulled it from the salary line item.
We've turned into volunteers.
We all will go ahead and put this into motion then, and let's get started right away.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we have some rezonings. We went through these all yesterday. I don't recall if there was any. We had a problem with this. That's what my notes from this was from.
I think 14 was the only crosswalk, Charlie, is that right? That's what my notes show.
Well, what I'm going to do then, that being the case, is pull out number 14 and say, and I will make a motion that the remaining rezonings be approved. And if y'all want to discuss it, individual one of them, we certainly can do that.
Give it a second.
I have no questions or comments on those.
In that case, all in favor? Aye. Which brings us to 14. This is a request from Carlotta LLC from A1 agricultural conditional use. I'm sorry, from residential intensity to A1 agricultural with conditional use, and this is for wedding events at the existing pavilion. Now, we just approved the winery there, that location. No, I thought this was a
It's
two-part.
it's not a winery, it's just an event space, a wedding event.
We went from R1 to A1.
Okay, so
Right.
what was
But
13?
not-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
You find 13. Feel good. Okay, but it's approved.
To agriculture, take one.
Table. Now, the question is whether or not to either approve conditional use. Karen, what sort of response do we have to planning on?
As far as the recommendation,
Well, I know the recommendation was to approve,
yes, it was
but
unanimous.
in terms of the discussion and concerns that you have.
The concerns that we had that night were mainly safety getting in and out of Old Northcutt crossing 515, and possibly having meeting cars on the Old Northcutt Road, but I think they pretty well set that aside as having approval from the road department at meeting a two-lane road requirement. That was pretty much it. I don't recall anybody saying anything about noise or the type of events that they would possibly have, mainly just the safety of getting in and out. That- I think that was it. You know, they had actually asked if it would be possible for them to access the pavilion through the other piece of property that they have that fronts on Highway 515, but topography doesn't really allow for that without great expense, so.
And you said this property, the guests would enter, they would turn off into this property before that, the
Before the
county,
end of county maintenance.
so
yes.
before the road narrows.
Yes. And there's a gate right as you top the hill on the right, and then just beyond that is where the end of county maintenance is.
Right.
And that's where the events would be, through that gate and down the hill.
No, they're just a wedding event.
The wedding event.
Yeah, not a recreational use.
Right. Carla, I think my question, and having listened to the minutes and the meeting from the planning zoning, I think it focuses and centers around the old North Cut Road, both the right-of-way and the ingress and egress using that road. I know it is considered and identified as a two-lane paved road up to the point where they be making use. So that's good, but they're with the large size of this venue. I say large because it's 20-some acres
Actually,
in total.
it would just be 17.78.
It would be because they're cutting out some of it at 17, but it gives them plenty of room to have some fairly decent events there and weddings and things. So it could involve a considerable amount of traffic. And one of the considerations that was discussed, although I don't think there's any provision made for this, is that if that road requires some improvements or widening or anything, that might be something the landowner would consider, as opposed to the county doing any of that work or paying for that work. I think that's the only issue I saw, and if that really poses a safety question, then I would not want to approve this. But I'm not the expert to know whether there's any safety issues and traffic issues, both for the event people and for the people that use that road from their residences. I don't want to interfere or create a problem for them as well. So I'm inclined to not want to do this at this point until I hear and see more of that and study more of that particular situation. I don't know how to process that or handle it, other than we need to probably make a decision tonight on this application. But that's the only issue or concern and comments I'd like to make on it.
Well, if we do make a decision tonight, we won't be able to check further into it.
Right.
The one downside is if you do make a decision tonight, the applicant will not be able to resubmit that application for conditional use for a period of 6 months after that decision is made. If that is the course that the board wants to take, and that Dallas is recommending, and I'd suggest remanding it back to the planning commission. That way this application stays alive,
Yes.
rather than making a decision.
I'm acceptable to that approach.
If that's,
But
So that would be basically 1 month. We could address it again in May, is that right?
you would send it back to the planning commission with instructions on what you would ask them to look into and to further in the studies that, now, I'm assuming that everything could be done in 30 days between now and that meeting. But another 30 days to get here before this board, so that's 2 months.
So you're talking about a minimum of 2 months.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Dallas, what were the studies that you were looking for again?
Say again?
What were the studies that you were particularly
Well,
looking for?
particularly about if there are really any safety issues. We've already heard of comments from the residents and near there that are concerned about the size, the width, and part of the actual road.
Are those studies going to be staff-based or staff investigated, or is that something that you're going to ask the applicant to do? Because that's pretty important. I mean, that's probably
I
a
hate to say
significant
that,
cost.
that
to the
really,
applicant.
in my mind, I would like to have the applicant actually provide that information somehow.
But the applicant may not be in the position to
You're
determine
right.
safety.
You're right.
And then, I mean, they'll have to hire an expert, whereas
You're
y'all
right.
got experts or,
Yeah.
you know.
I'm certain that's my problem, and I can't make that determination myself.
I think probably what we would have to rely on would be our own road department to make that determination.
And I thought that they had, in fact, gone out and investigated and inspected.
My understanding is that they have.
But now y'all don't have anything in writing, maybe that's what you're looking for.
No, I don't.
Something in writing.
I heard two sides of that comment in the meeting from y'all. There was kind of both sides were being discussed, and I'm not sure that there were agreement or consensus that came to me on that.
Jim had gone to there. First, his thought was that it would not meet the requirements, so he went, and then he said that it would. You wouldn't have enough room for 2 cars to meet and go. So he changed his mind about whether there would be a negative effect on the county road based on the use.
I think Jim had expressed that, but I heard the opposite opinion expressed by other people that use that road. So
I think though that what we have to go by is our road department's opinion and not necessarily from an outside source unless we want to hire a specialist to do that. The closest thing we've got to a specialist is our own road department.
And if they're able to give us something in writing and firm on that, it does, to my knowledge, having looked at what I saw on the specification for that road, there is enough right-of-way. It's not an issue. It is not a right-of-way. It seems to be the actual width of the road service that everybody is looking at. So from a right-of-way standpoint, that's not a concern. And to me, that's probably what the county would be concerned about.
I'm not sure I want anything in writing from them. That kind of, I think sort of hangs us out there in case anybody does have an accident.
Yeah, I'm still confused of where they're gonna enter.
Here's the picture, and this is the entrance into his property, this is the county road. And then it goes on up right through here, and it gets narrower there's the entrance to the property.
And I think the applicant or the agent for the applicant had stated in the planning commission meeting that they would not be going beyond the end of the county road maintenance sign. You could add that as a condition. Am I speaking correctly, Shannon?
Yeah, there's no need for beyond that.
Okay. You could add that to as a condition to the issuance or the approval of the permit.
That I understood, and that there is, the portion of the road that they're going to be involved in is county maintained, but that does not mean county improved or county upgraded at all. We don't make any commitment to do that.
Just comply.
And I don't mean to speak negatively at all about
And so,
Question.
I'm not speaking negatively at all about our road department, but I think when it comes to safety, we probably need to be talking about a traffic engineer opinion. I really do.
and I thought some of that, I listened to the planning meeting, and I thought that some of that safety concern was pulling out onto 515. as well from.
There was some there which is not part of our control.
Right, right,
We
that's why.
cannot, we have no influence or control there. But, and I'm not raising that as an issue myself.
That's the only issue.
Otherwise, they were concerned with some traffic on their road, that it would be backed up because it takes a few minutes to pull out on 515.
I would say that if we're talking about hiring a traffic engineer for this, then I think we're obligating ourselves to hire a traffic engineer for essentially everything else that comes up. Where anybody says that they question safety, and I don't know that we're in a position to do that.
No, we're not. We're not.
Refresh my memory, what size are we talking about for this? I'm a little.
17 acres.
No, and the number of cars that are allowed?
Well, y'all, there is no.
That's
We
part of the
don't
other.
have that in current.
Now, you could ask the applicant if they would agree to the permit requirements that y'all are looking to put in place if you wanted to do that as a condition. Y'all, and Shannon, you were not here for the earlier meeting, but they are considering anything between 5 as a low and probably 6 as a high of cars per acre. So if this is 17 acres, that would be, how many?
85.
85.
6, I'll do 6.
Okay.
So, and I seriously don't think that y'all would intend to be parking that many cars back there on that property. I wouldn't, I'd be shocked. But that's what they're looking to put in place, some of these changes under this land use change. So is that something that you potentially?
I wouldn't oppose that at all.
Yeah.
And I did not hear or read anything that creates any concern on my part of the nature of that event that they're applying for, the wedding event. There was no opposition that I saw anywhere relative to that kind of event being handled. So I'm willing to do what the board here agrees to in terms of approving or not approving. I just raise that as the only concern and only issue that I see at all.
I make a motion that we approve this property with conditional use, as long as with the agreement that whatever we decide on cars per acre, that they're acceptable with that.
I'll second the motion. Is there?
Can we, that'll apply to this even though it's not official.
They're stipulating, and Shannon, if you'll approach the podium and recognize yourself and then state whether or not y'all are willing to agree to that.
I'm Shannon Bassett, 928 Bernhardt Road, LJ. And yes, David and I we have no problem with that at all. Actually, I think it's a good policy.
Yeah, I can't, like I said, I cannot imagine y'all want more than 80 cars in there. They just,
Not even close, probably.
Yeah.
But I still think countywide for,
Yeah.
what the county's facing, I think that's probably a good idea.
Any other discussion?
No.
All in favor?
And was there a
We're
second?
going to get a second.
I second it.
Okay, you.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll say aye, even though
Wow.
I reluctantly.
Good jacket. Good jacket's bringing something out in Dallas tonight.
Keep your powder dry, David.
Karen. Thank you for that clarification.
That brings us to the appointment of a member to the Board of Health. Mary Louise Fuller is retiring, and that will leave a vacancy for the remainder of her time on the board. And we have a request for Tracy Wells to be appointed to that position. So unless y'all have any other candidates, I would make a motion that Tracy will be appointed to the Board of Health.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 17, I'm going to make a motion, we have a special call meeting to address that increase, so I'll make a motion to set the table for now.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 18, we do not yet have a contract on this, so we need to table this as well until our May meeting. And I would make that as a motion.
Are we waiting on the FAA on that particular project for their approval?
We actually have FAA approval, now we're waiting on contracts with individual towns.
Oh, okay. Do we have to go through an advertisement or anything further on that?
No, we're good on all the legal requirements at this point.
Okay. Okay.
We just need them to execute.
We need that. Okay, I'm good.
So
Maybe I'm confused, but I thought that this was part of the shoulder widening project, and then also there's that statement along with land acquisition. I think this agenda items including two elements, but I felt like that there was something that went to bid that y'all were waiting on from Jim to bring.
I did have a discussion with Jim about that today, and he said that it wasn't ready. We needed to, table it until May.
Okay. Because
I mean, that is coming straight from Jim.
I just remember seeing the bid calculations.
Yeah.
We do have bids for construction of whatever phase 3 was or is,
I believe it's the shoulder widening.
which we have not exercised on, but we also have land acquisition, but I don't know if the two are tied.
I don't think that they are, because those land acquisitions are on the perimeter of the airport, so, but if Jim has given y'all an assurance that this bid that Joe and them have submitted and everything is not ready to be awarded, then by all means.
I asked him about it this morning, and he said it needed to be pushed out till May.
Okay.
Now, if that turns out to be an error, we'll just have to call a special call.
Yeah.
So,
I don't want those bids to become obsolete.
I agree. But I don't know of another source other than Jim to.
No, I agree, I understand, okay. But the table is what we can do today.
Yeah, and if we have to take any other action on it, we can call a
Yeah.
20-minute special call meeting. So, I would make a motion that we table.
No, second.
All in favor? Aye. Now, the contract with Georgia Oil Maintenance Services is one that we do need to handle tonight. This is fairly critical. And they need to be getting started on this right away. So, David, have you reviewed this and everything?
I was getting ready to share with Edwin and not to let you sign the contract tomorrow morning. I know how you walk out of here and sign those contracts. There are just a few minor changes, and they're nothing that would be of any consequence as far as the vendor would be concerned, but there's some liability issues that we need to kind of, and some indemnifications that we need to curl back in. So, yeah.
We need to address those quickly because Jim was very adamant that I was to sign that contract before I left here tonight.
Yeah, I just got it, and I was getting ready to let everyone know a few minor changes, and just don't let Charlie sign, but I'll go ahead and give that to you direct. Please don't sign until we can make those few changes. And again, they're inconsequential, but they're for the county's protection.
Do we have a time frame for that?
Tomorrow.
Okay. I'll come back. Let me know when you're ready.
Oh, he's off tomorrow? Okay, well, then Monday would be fine.
No, I'll come back and sign it.
Oh, you was planning on signing it tonight, then?
Well, that's what Jim said. Don't leave this meeting without
I'm
signing
glad.
that contract.
I knew when the contract gets approved, boy, you fast on the
I'm
signature.
ready. Yeah. All right, just, everyone when it's ready, text me, don't call me, text me.
Thank you for making it better.
In our discussion yesterday, we didn't end up with any dollar figure, did we?
No,
So-
and I don't know that we have a dollar figure. There's too many ifs on this. Now, we can back out anytime we want to.
If that contract gives us that right, I'll agree with that.
Well, if it didn't, David would be all over
It
that.
it does, but unfortunately, Dallas Shaw got a huge liability out there that you're gonna have to deal with, and it's cheaper to deal with it today than it is 2 years down the road.
And that's the urgency that young has on it. In fact, the letter that they sent us gave us 30 days, but I don't see that we can do it in 30 days, but that's what these folks are for. They interact directly with us.
How many days do this contractor guarantee they'll get the work done?
They don't guarantee.
It can't be an emergency if.
Well, I mean, if we don't.
I'm willing to let you sign it, but I just want to know
The thing is,
that
if we don't
you're
hire
asking
them,
me
it's us.
to approve money that I don't know how much and I don't know when
I
the
know.
work will be done.
Hey,
That's
I-
all I'm making a point of.
I don't
That's
like it either, but this is something that we do not want to let.
I don't disagree with that, Charlie. I don't disagree with that.
It's, well, it's like David said, the liability, I think liability grows daily.
You may want to explain the contract, Charlie, that you're considering signing for.
I was hoping to avoid that.
I'm sorry.
We have underground storage tanks for fuel that are relatively old. One of them is actually new, but the other one's pretty old. And the new one replaced an old one that was no longer functional. We have been given a letter of violation by EPD for not renewing yearly licensing on that. We explained to them that we had closed those, we're not using them, never plan to use them. And they explained to us that you don't just close underground fuel tanks. There's a process and they have to approve it. And they've given us 30 days to get it all done. It is beyond the scope of what our county employees can do. So these people, Georgia Oil and Services, specialize in this sort of thing. And so we would be contracting with them to close this underground fuel tank facility to EPD's satisfaction, so that we can at that point then walk away and be liability free with it. The question mark on the amount of money is, one of the things that they're going to do is they'll pull the tanks out of the ground, they'll dispose of them, but then they have to do a bunch of soil testing. If none of these tanks have ever leaked and everything comes up roses, then, it'll be pretty inexpensive. If, however, they find that the soil is contaminated around them, it'll get more expensive. And how much more expensive depends on how contaminated. So that's a question mark at this point. But we can't just let it sit there and have them decide at some point they're going to start giving us daily fines and so forth, which is their method of operation. So it's something we got to deal with.
How big is the fine?
The fine for throwing dirt in the stream is $2,500 a day. Now, I don't know what the fine for something like this would be. So,
I was trying to figure
and I
out
don't
which
want to
was
find
cheaper.
out.
I wanted to see which was cheaper.
I can pretty much guarantee you which is cheaper. So, but we do have to, with David's changes, proposed changes, we do need to go ahead and approve this so that I can sign it tomorrow when Atlanta interrupts me and makes me come back.
Bring it to you.
No. So with that in mind, I am going to make a motion that we approve the contract with Georgia Oil and Services subject to the changes that David has in mind.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Once I hit into the mic. Is there any discussion? Can we get a second on that?
I second.
Yes. Okay.
I, okay.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
I haven't opposed anything tonight, so I won't oppose. And I understand why we did it. And
Jack has lost his tax habit.
and I'll make a motion to adjourn. Oh, is there one more? Huh?
No, Tom, no. Work session.
Is that?
Well, Dr. Ellis, I'd like to stay longer, but you want to adjourn? Is that the form of a motion?
Yes, it was.
Is number 20,
yesterday.
number 20 a table? Is it a table?
Oh, number 21. I just checked it off as complete. Why do we need it? No, this is just, we had a discussion yesterday on a mission statement and vision statement, and I had a conversation with Lisa today, and she showed me the mission statement and vision statement that we do have, and she feels very strongly that that's what we need to stick with unless we.
Because it's approved in that number, but we can add it to our Facebook page, just to, I mean, well,
Sure. We can add that to our website. We just need to add what's in the, that page to be consistent. Yeah, we can get that on the website. Okay. End of discussion. And we have a motion to adjourn, which I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you, folks.
Yeah, let me check that real quick and I'll be right back.
All right. Some of these days,
I will have to veto that. Hold on.
it minimum.